everybody. Sue Gillis here, Curator of the Boca Raton Historical Society, and I want to welcome you to the beautiful Schmidt Boca Raton History Museum. Today's is the next session of Ask the Curator, and we have a really good question about what were our earliest tourist attractions here in town. And believe it or not, they date back to the late 40s and then in the 1950s. In the late 40s, we had a very odd attraction here called Seminole Pottery, and it was located on US 1, quote unquote, north of town, which could be literally a block north of Town Hall now. Seminoles don't make pottery traditionally, but a man named Vernon Lamb, who was the former state archaeologist, taught some of his Seminole friends how to make pottery, and apparently they set up this probably seasonal attraction, making things like pots in the shape of Florida oranges and funny things like that. That lasted for a few years and then just sort of disappeared. But in the 50s, we had several important attractions. One was Africa USA. A lot of people have fond memories of that. That was located where the Camino Gardens neighborhood is today, and it was an African safari park, kind of the predecessor to Lion Country Safari, except there were no carnivores, with a couple of exceptions. There were 2 cheetah that were apparently like house cats, so they say, and 1 chimpanzee. But the rest were herding type stock. Even the elephants were not African elephants, they were Indian elephants, who are much easier to deal with apparently. But there were giraffes and zebras and all sorts of wonderful creatures. We had an attraction called Ancient America, which was located at the Barnhill Mound, which is an actual pre-Columbian burial mound, located north of Yamato and east of Federal Highway. Today the mound still exists. It's safely fenced off and so on. But in the 50s, you could literally walk through tunnels through this burial mound and view the interments that were glassed in. Now today that would not be too politically correct. But that was an attraction by a man named Mr. Barnhill. He also had a museum with North American Indian artifacts and a store. And there was a concrete Spanish ship that was sort of a landmark there on US 1 to attract visitors. It only lasted a few years in the 50s. In addition, a man named Ira Eshelman, who was an evangelist, bought a lot of war surplus property and buildings west of today's City Hall, north of Palmetto Park Road, and established a Christian resort community called Bibletown. And it was very successful. Starting in the early 50s, there was a motel. People would come to wonderful concerts in the auditorium, do all sorts of wonderful field trips. A lot of people were drawn to permanently reside in Boca Raton because of Bibletown. And today it is survived by the Boca Raton Community Church. So really good question about our early tourist attractions.